Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Just Us Review. Well, we like to take our favorite shows. He might be into action, he might be into sci-fi, he may be into supernatural. We don't care. We're just gonna watch it and give you guys that breakdown and that grit. And if we like it, we love it. And what happens if we hate it?
We gonna boo-boo on it.
Damn right, we gonna hear about it. And today, the train keeps on rolling with episode 4 of The Mandalorian. That's right, Mando and company are back at it again in the white vans. This time, they got to get their ship together because the only thing they flying on is hopes and dreams.
and that's only going to get you so far in the galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm. As one artist would say, they're living on a prayer. So,
Baby Yoda straight up became a mechanic. He wasn't a good one. I mean, he tried.
Put the red wire there. But all in all, you know we got to take this from the top. Going across the table. How do you guys feel?
This is The Siege.
This is The Siege, by the way, the episode Siege. How do you feel about this episode in general?
Overall, very good. But we gotta talk about Carl Weathers.
I feel like I have some things to say about it.
Before we go into this, do you
guys give your assessment, but I'm just telling you right now, I think overall it was a great episode, but we gotta talk about Carl
before we
Weathers.
go to Carl Weathers, do you think he's getting too old for this shit?
No, it's more like...
We'll get to it.
It's not anything negative or whatever because it speaks. He did direct this episode.
Yeah.
It speaks to his talent.
Okay. How about you?
Same. This was a very good episode. In my opinion, it's probably the best one this season so far.
Okay.
Cause there was very little things that I found wrong about it. And I, too, have things to say about Carl Weathers and his style of directing.
Okay, go ahead.
Very good episode. I thought it was going to go in a couple of directions, and it surprised me. So that means it's doing very well. It wasn't necessarily very predictable to me as far as where I thought the episode was going to go. And I like the little ragtag team that they had for this episode.
I, too, will echo the same sentiments. I want to talk about Carl Weathers too, and also want to talk about Stormtroopers.
But before we get
I have questions.
And before we get to that, first we gotta give honorable shout out mention to Baby Yoda. Apparently going to school, first day of school. What they tell you to do on the first day in the new environment? Make new friends, or
you knock out the biggest essay. Can we talk about that scene? Can I talk about that scene? First of all, Baby Yoda, if y'all didn't know, is from Bankhead. And what do you know about Bankhead people? They'll take your cookie.
They literally sat him down in there, and he looked like he was like, "What am I doing here?" Like,
I'm older than everyone in here.
And then he was like, "Oh, look, older than everyone in here, but at the same time, I'm too young for this shit. I don't know what this robot is saying."
Like, oh look, you holding my cookie.
He was like,
At first he was like, I'm gonna be cute, because when I'm cute, people give me shit. And he was like, cookie? And the kid was like, nah. He was like, oh.
So you chose death.
When he snatched that little boy cookie, did anybody catch? He was like, what you gonna do? Crumbs at, what you gonna do? That kid turned his ass right back around. Like, he's like, I asked for one, but I'm gonna take them.
Not a whole pack of mine.
Yeah.
So shout out to that episode.
Yeah, shout out to Baby Yoda. Now moving on to the mission.
okay.
Carl Weathers, go.
So, first let's talk about his acting. He is over the top. Especially in how he vocalizes things. But that works for this type of show. Like, he needs to be in voice acting.
Can I tell you? I gotta say this. Is it just me, or with Carl Weathers is disappointed? He sound like he about to whoop you.
You have to walk in the room like you're about to whoop you.
Damn
it, Mando.
He's like too old. He's like the '80s captain who's over police precinct. I'm too old for this shit. You need to get together, man. Though, but what got me was whenever he
best cop I got.
But it's like whenever he talked to so it's this blue guy who works for him, and whenever he talked to him, it sounded like he about to go get the belt.
Like, hurry up! Move it!
You want some time, Shane? I'll shake some time off your signature. So
and like you could tell he enjoyed doing this episode both from an acting perspective and a directing perspective.
So I want to talk about his directing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll leave that to you.
So what I found interesting about the direction of this episode is, and when I say what I'm gonna say, you'll get it. He more or less so than, or at least it was more noticeable to me. He pulled from a lot of original Star Wars mannerisms
okay.
than any other director of these episodes that I've noticed, or made it more noticeable.
Like if you are an old school Star Wars fan, you will be satisfied with this episode, particularly because of the way he did.
And I'm talking about humor. I'm talking about like
Pacing.
Dialogue, stuff like that.
There were cut scenes. You know how the Star Wars transitions?
Yeah.
There were like 3 or 4 of those back to back.
Mm-hmm. And it never occurred to me until I sat down and watched that episode why that is. Carl Weathers is an action star of the 80s.
Yes.
So, and the last Star Wars movie came out in the 80s. So, of course, he would be in that mindset. And I just thought he just did a really good job with that.
One thing I'd also like to introduce is like, so just to pad out some story that's going on. There's a ragtag group of people. It's Mando, it's Carl Weathers. I'm not gonna call him by his real name because he's Carl Weathers. His fake name. He's Carl Weathers in the canon.
Exactly.
And
I'm gonna call him Blue Joe Pesci. I'm sorry. Blue Steve should be
Blue Shimmy. Minus the wandering eye. And of course Gina Carano for yeah.
She was there. She was there.
And they're going on this ragtag mission because the Empire has this facility on the top that they need to invade. It was something that you wanted to say.
So I did have one slight negative. They inserted too many clips of them going around a corner shooting.
That's what I meant. That Star Wars transition.
Yeah.
It was literally run.
Like, we do it a couple of times, it's endearing, but then like on the 5th time, I'm like, okay, guy, let's be fair.
I actually agree with you. Because I was like, how many corridors are you guys going to go down? And then so they go in there to bust up in the place. And then, they're like, okay, so they're at the door. How we going to break in? Mando flies off and start dropping bodies left and right and then lets them in. Now, I want to talk about something with the stormtroopers and how their engineering department builds shit. So the core that they need to overload is on this panel that's off on this side
over lava.
With no rail.
No rail. The plank ain't even, it's barely big enough to walk on. Who the hell designs this shit?
That is weird as fuck to me.
But the thing is, I like the fact that they acknowledge it.
But it's still weird.
But
Yeah.
Blue Buscemi was like, "Where's the rail?"
And this points out to something that you guys were saying. This is a shout out to the old school Star Wars because they had designs in that made no sense.
Very narrow walkways, people falling throughout the Death Star.
But do you know what?
The Wilhelm scream.
Do you know what? I think, and I know that this doesn't make sense because numbers wise, why would you build this for a minority of people? But I think that when they build shit like that, it's for Force users. I don't need a fucking rail. I can float across or press the button from the safety of this corner.
I'm just imagining the sheer number of people who died building that thing.
Oh hell yeah!
And like if you notice the engineers, or the people who just work the ships, they're all a certain size.
Mm-hmm.
I never see any overweight people working the ships in the Empire.
I've never seen an overweight stormtrooper.
And you know what I never understood? While they're sitting there manning the computers, why don't they just take the goddamn helmet off?
Yeah.
Like, you're not fighting yet.
Yeah, and you can tell it's cumbersome. Those suits don't work for them, and this is how I know. There was a scene in this episode. I was like, why is this here? So the ship out the fan. They started their chase scene. So a bunch of stormtroopers get on their hover bikes and they go down this hill. And this is all you can't even see Carl Weathers in them. This is all the stormtroopers. They ride down this hill, and one stormtrooper falls off his bike, hits another one, and basically causes an explosion that kills like 2 or 3 of them. And it was like, y'all animated that.
Tay, I gotta speak on this scene. First of all, it caught me off guard because the way they set it up was fucking awesome. So Carl Weathers, they go over the cliff and they make it. The stormtroopers like, oh, we've done this before. And the way they hop over, I was like,
You think, oh, they about to be so badass.
I'm about to say, this shit is hard as hell.
And then, oops.
And if you guys noticed, the lead stormtrooper looked back and was like, fuck.
Get it together, number 47.
and Sam me and Sam were watching this, and Sam brought up an interesting point. Sam, what did you say?
What kind of training did they receive to be stormtroopers? Like how long is their training?
The training was you a body that I can destroy the enemy to block the bullet so that I can get away. That's your training.
It literally felt like they were a stormtrooper. They were like, hey, welcome to being a stormtrooper. Good luck, everybody.
All right, this is your first day. We're not going to train you too hard. Congratulations on graduating your 3-week training camp. Now you just have to guard this facility.
Exactly.
Just this facility.
Exactly.
Nothing else. Don't worry about it. Everything else is taken care of.
Well, how do we fight mercenaries? Who said that?
I'll beat your ass. If you guard it enough, it ain't gonna be no damn mercenary.
So I'm gonna say something else too that I thought made this episode really good, and this is gonna seem weird, but they got rid of the Mandalorian for a good chunk of the episode so that the rest of the cast could shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's not to say there's anything wrong with the Mandalorian, but as we discussed, it gets interesting when he has other people to play off of. And I thought it was really interesting that they took him out of the equation to let the other 3 do something.
Yeah, it showed that other people are capable other than just the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Which is why I like this universe, because it's just not one person with a glow stick.
Exactly.
And one more thing, like I said, it's the subtle things that I like about these episodes. And one of the things I loved is like when he landed onto the planet and Carl Weathers and old girl is out there. And as soon as they land, you can see that it's called the Razor.
The Razor Crest.
The Razor Crest, it lands, and it looks like a piece of shit. and Carl Weathers is looking at him like, ah, damn.
Yeah, there's that on there like, where's my belt?
He's like, you let this baby fly on that? I'll whoop you.
Gotta call defects. So towards the end, we got the X-Wing pilots coming in, and they're like, hey, so shit blew up over here. If a whole facility blew up, something weird was going down here. I need answers, and nobody's giving me answers. What you got for me, Bill? Carl Weathers? And he's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Like, I've been here the whole time.
But with that, we also got some information that Gina Carano's character was also a survivor of Alderaan, which you know was Princess Leia's home planet that got blown up.
Blown up.
Got blown, but and then the dude asked, "Did you lose anybody?" He was like, "I lost all."
No, I think I just lost a pet, and my rock collection was there.
I had a paycheck stub that I didn't cash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My PlayStation 5 was on there too.
Yeah.
I lost that.
But
I might have lost a moon.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Another thing I also like to point out is like when they're riding off and the TIE fighters that get deployed and start chasing them too. And then I love it because it was a callback to the old movies and how absurd the tracking system was. And Carl Weathers couldn't hit shit. Mm-hmm. And Gina Carano's like, what you doing back there? He's like, bitch, get back here. You get get back
You
here.
come back here. You man this tour.
You do this shit.
And that also was amusing to me too, because I'm pretty sure there's fandom. Part of the fandom has already discussed this, but like, what is the technology in Star Wars? I don't understand the technology progression, because you notice they're looking at the security cameras, and it was in black and white.
Yeah.
I'm like, shouldn't y'all have like HD, like
3D?
like, I don't understand why y'all still using black and white security cameras,
but
when your
then
tracking systems are
it's
out of Pong.
But then on the same turn, like, then they have holograms that pop up, and it's like, we need your help, and it's like, what the fuck?
All right, but we need to fight. Sega graphics.
One minor flaw,
Yeah, do you think?
but I can't really knock them for it. This is the episode, and this is something I don't like in a lot of media, specifically media that gears towards children, the children angle, and tries to appeal to younger kids. They're aware of the popularity of Baby Yoda now. And I know we talked about the take your cookies and stuff like that, and that was enjoyable. But like toward the end, when he's in the plane like this, I'm like, they know.
They're
The cute factor.
Yeah, they're aware now.
Yeah.
They did it in Guardians 2. Like, they knew Baby Groot was a moneymaker, so they was like, put him in everything, put him all on the t-shirts and the cereals, and put him in the opening title and stuff like that. And it's like you could tell that this was the episode that they were about to film when Kathleen Kennedy saw the numbers, shot a line, and was like, put him in everything.
We need more Baby Yoda. You want to be a star, don't you?
Kick me out of Star Wars, huh? Put him in everything. What made it even worse is after that episode, we went to Walmart or whatever, and I'm walking down the aisle, and like the entire cereal aisle was Baby Yoda cereal, and I was like, well, someone hasn't been hoarded out enough lately. Like, what the fuck?
I must haven't been to the grocery store. Goodness.
I don't go down the kid cereal aisle like that.
But I gotta say another shout out to Carl Weathers. I mean, like, it was a nostalgia factor with him that he brought back.
Mm-hmm. He did his thing.
Yeah, he did his thing pretty much. So all in all, this episode to me I thought was pretty good. How about you guys?
To me, like I said, to me this was the best one this season so far, and I know we're only halfway through.
I gotta agree with him on that.
Like
And
if
the first episode was pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that out of the way.
Oh,
the first
God.
episode of this season was pretty strong, and then Carl Weathers came up in here and was like,
if his directing style was anything like his character, he probably had a belt on.
Hold on.
Say it again.
Oh, sorry. There's one more piece that also I'd like to point out. A pimp named Moth. So
Oh yeah, with that closing scene. We find out that the facility that they were in, they were doing cloning experiments, trying to basically clone Baby Yoda for unknown reasons, yet to be discovered.
But then we find out that a pimp named Moth had somebody put a bug on
The Razor
Crest, and now my boy Moth, boy, he looks so clean.
Space pimp.
Space pimp.
Space pimp.
But if anybody in the bottom can tell us what was in that room, because I didn't get.
It looked like people standing up or robots standing up.
It wasn't clear enough because I thought they were like clone Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's
shit
what I
like
thought.
that.
Did you see his uniform?
It was reminiscent of Vader.
Yeah. So they had
He
that.
took it off his body. He was like, I'll take that.
Like, I almost
smell
felt
like-
like his helmet was in there for some reason.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He took it off his body. Smells like burnt leather. Wrapped in bacon.
Won't be needing this anymore.
But all in all, like I said, I'm not familiar who that was in the what that was in the room. First, I thought it was a nicer red, but then I was like, oh, nah, that can't be. But like you said, what other some of the stuff that we missed? I know there was a couple of shout outs to Rebels in this one as well. But put the information at the bottom. like and subscribe. You know, we're gonna keep this series going just as long as it stays watchable. But until next time.
Take your cookies.
Mhm.